Hi everyone. For this assignment, I asked a sixth grade English language arts teacher at my school if they could tell me about the evidence-based best practice that they use within their teaching. And here is what I found out. So I found out that she uses direct and explicit comprehension strategies regularly within her classroom, and she believed that certainly all of the English language arts teachers that are in her district and area that she knows of also use these strategies. The things she's talked about were looking at narrative and informational passages, and she was talking about how in whether it's an information or a narrative passage, the students are reading the passage 3 times. They're basically reading the passage first to get the gist, then they're slowing down, rereading, and looking for words that they don't quite know, they're not unsure about, and then looking these words up. And then in the third reading, the students are making their final decision on what the main idea of the passage is based on their knowledge that they've gained from the first 2 readings, and making sure that they know all of the vocabulary. So this is really to look at building their vocabulary knowledge, building their ability to get the gist and the main idea of a passage. When they're looking at narrative passages, within my school district, they're using the Freytag's pyramid. So they do their first reading and put in as many details on the pyramid as they can. And then again, they slow down and then fill in more details based on looking at words that they don't know. And then on their third reading, they have filled in their knowledge gaps, and so should be able to fill in the complete pyramid so that they can see the full plot structure about what the passage was all about. I was particularly interested that the sixth grade teacher talks about how she regularly models readers' thinking during read alouds, and that would be something that I do all the time in my kindergarten classroom. I'm always demonstrating my thinking as a reader as I'm reading aloud. I'm kind of stopping and going, oh, what do you think is going to happen next? I'm guessing this, that, the next thing, and so on. So it was really nice to hear that in the sixth grade this doesn't stop just because the kids are a bit older, and that they are definitely, she's modelling a reading brain. Then she was speaking about how across departments, not just in the English language arts, but across the whole school, in the middle and the high school, they're definitely looking at building the children's vocabulary. So with all subject areas are specifically teaching vocabulary for their area. So for example, the teacher spoke about how in mathematics they're definitely ensuring that the children know what all of the terminology means, and in science likewise, so that when a new word comes up, the specific vocabulary is being taught so that the children are not getting lost in a sea of vocabulary, technical vocabulary that they don't understand. So the teacher gave me this nice quote, which was in social studies also does a lot of reading, and I believe those teachers spend the most time on emphasising comprehension. And what she meant there was emphasising comprehension outside of English language arts. She felt that the social studies do a lot to build on a reading comprehension within their subject, and that obviously makes sense when you're looking at historical narratives and an understanding about history based on being able to read certain passages. So that made sense to me. Then we were talking about the idea of motivational and self-directed learning as being another evidence-based best practice that schools should definitely be encouraging their students to have an internal drive to read and to carry out skills that they will need if they want to go on to college. My district certainly prides itself on the fact that 100% of its students who apply for college are accepted, and it also has a very high college application rate. So there's definitely a college prep focus as the children move up through the school. I was asking the sixth grade teacher how she feels that she builds into this idea of self-directed learning, and she spoke about DEAR, the drop everything and read, which is something that happens daily within all the classrooms. Interestingly, that happens daily throughout elementary, so that is something that goes on up through the district into the middle and high school. So again, I was really pleased to hear about that. She also spoke about a really richly resourced library in each English language arts room, which is encouraging the children to pick up books and to read, because there is such a depth and a range of books available to them. And again, this was really good to hear, because I don't actually particularly see that in the elementary side of things, because teachers are expected to purchase their own books. So if there is a teacher that lacks funding, resources, or motivation for whatever reason, then there can quite often not be that many books in the classrooms. So I was really pleased to hear that actually certainly in the ELA classrooms in the middle and the high school, they do have a lot of books there. The teacher also spoke about book bingo to encourage breadth of reading choices. And this was something quite fun that I not heard of before. Book bingo being the each child gets a bingo card with different genres on there, and every time they read a different genre, whether it's historical fiction or science fiction or a classic, then they get a stamp on their card, and when they have filled up their card, they get a prize. Although the teacher did admit that although this is in practice, it's maybe not as used as much as she would like it to be, and there's some work to be done around it. But it sounds like a good idea to encourage breadth of reading choices to me. She did say, though, that she felt that independent reading and building up those self-directed learning skills in terms of reading anyway, is seen as the responsibility of the English language arts teacher alone, rather than being a whole school effort. And this was a bit disappointing to hear, because as we know, the research tells us that for schools to be successful in developing independent readers, then a whole school approach really is needed and required, and everybody should see themselves as a reading teacher. On a more positive point, the teacher I interviewed was talking about accountability, and that the strategies that we were talking about are very definitely held as the teacher is held accountable for teaching them. So there is a school effort to make sure that children are comprehending properly, and that there is self-directed learning being undertaken. On the more negative side, the teacher did mention that a lot of the time this accountability is down to the results of the STAR testing, because it's seen as so important. So the teacher I spoke to said that she didn't really receive a lot of training around these techniques, and that she would certainly like to have more training around them, and it's something that she was very open to. I know that we have an English language arts coach in the elementary school and in the high school, but this hasn't really come up as a training that's being offered. However, my district is very good. If you do find training, then you're very they're very willing to accept and pay for that training if you can justify it. So it's maybe a case of finding out where this type of training is on and is being offered. And that could be something that could be put into place in my district. Anyway, that's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it.